London, a city pulsing with life, yet within its bustling heart stood Thornfield Hall, a monument to time and secrets. Lady Elizabeth Montagu, its mistress, was a woman of logic and grace. Her evenings were spent in the drawing room, the fire casting dancing shadows on the walls. One particular evening in 2010, something was amiss. The fire crackled, painting the room in flickering light. But Lady Elizabeth's shadow was gone. She shifted, her brow furrowing. The shadow remained absent. At first she dismissed it. A trick of the light, perhaps. A fleeting anomaly. Yet as days turned into weeks, the shadow remained stubbornly absent. The unease gnawed at her. This was no ordinary occurrence. Lady Elizabeth was not a woman to be defeated by the unknown. Her mind, sharp and inquisitive, demanded answers. She would unravel this enigma, no matter the cost. Little did she know, this was just the beginning. The disappearance of her shadow became a constant, unsettling presence. It followed her like a phantom, a silent specter in a world of normalcy. Lady Elizabeth consulted the best minds in London, doctors, specialists, even physicists. Their examinations yielded nothing. Her health was perfect, their theories inconclusive. The mystery deepened, casting an unsettling pall over Thornfield Hall. The impossible, it seemed, had come to call. Word of the vanishing shadow of Thornfield spread like wildfire through London's elite. Whispers followed Lady Elizabeth. Was it a curse? A medical marvel? The unknown held a strange allure. Desperate for answers, Lady Elizabeth turned to the fringes of science. Her quest for truth led her to Dr. Alistair Reed, a man renowned for his forays into the paranormal. He was her last hope, a beacon in the encroaching darkness. Dr. Alistair Reed was a man of science, yet he embraced the unknown. His reputation preceded him, whispered in hushed tones in academic halls and shadowed drawing rooms. He was an enigma, a scholar of specters. When Lady Elizabeth's letter arrived, he felt a thrill course through him, a missing shadow, an impossibility that hinted at a deeper mystery. This was no ordinary case. This was a symphony of the strange, and he was the conductor. He arrived at Thornfield Hall with his team, a motley crew of skeptics and believers united by their thirst for the unknown. The mansion loomed, a Gothic giant guarding its secrets. Dr. Reed, however, was not daunted. He was invigorated. Lady Elizabeth, her composure a testament to her breeding, greeted them with a hesitant curiosity. She was a woman of logic thrust into a world of shadows and whispers. Dr. Reed offered a reassuring smile. "Fear not, Lady Elizabeth," he said, his voice a calming baritone. "For in the face of the unknown, knowledge is our greatest weapon." Thornfield Hall became a laboratory of the paranormal. Dr. Reed and his team, armed with instruments that blurred the line between science and the supernatural, transformed the mansion into a web of sensors and cameras. They moved through the halls with quiet purpose, their equipment humming a symphony of data collection. Electromagnetic field readers crackled, thermometers registered inexplicable cold spots, and cameras captured every fleeting shadow and flicker of light. Days turned into nights, the team working tirelessly, analyzing readings, reviewing footage, searching for any anomaly that could explain the vanished shadow. The mansion, once a symbol of stately elegance, now pulsed with an undercurrent of anticipation. Each beep of a sensor, every fluctuation on a meter, fueled their determination. The impossible they were discovering often left clues. And Dr. Reed, with his unique blend of logic and intuition, was a master at deciphering the language of the uncanny. The breakthrough came unexpectedly late one night. Sarah, Dr. Reed's sharp-eyed assistant, was reviewing footage from a camera positioned in the mansion's old wing. She rewound, her brow furrowed in concentration. There, a flicker. On the screen, Lady Elizabeth walked past an ornate antique mirror. For a fleeting moment, a shadow flickered into existence behind her, only to vanish again as quickly as it had appeared. Sarah's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary anomaly. She called Dr. Reed, her voice hushed with excitement. He joined her, his eyes glued to the screen. The footage played again, the flicker of the shadow almost imperceptible. But it was there. Evidence. A tangible thread in the tapestry of the impossible. The mirror. It had to be the key. Dr. Reed felt a surge of adrenaline. His instincts, honed by years of chasing shadows, screamed at him. This was no ordinary object. This was a conduit, a doorway to the heart of the mystery. The mirror was a relic of a bygone era, its ornate frame crafted from dark, heavy wood, its surface tarnished with age. It hung in the old wing, a silent sentinel amidst forgotten portraits and dust-laden antiques. Dr. Reed approached it cautiously, his senses alert. He could feel an odd energy emanating from the cold glass, a subtle hum that vibrated in the air around it. It was as if the mirror held its breath, guarding secrets older than time itself. Dr. Reed, his fingers tracing the intricate carvings on the frame, felt a chill crawl down his spine. Heinrich Faust, he murmured, his voice barely a whisper. The name, etched in the corner of the frame, was barely visible beneath layers of grime and time. Faust, the alchemist, the dabbler in forbidden arts, the weaver of dark enchantments. Legends whispered of Faust's creations, objects imbued with uncanny power, their beauty masking a sinister heart. Mirrors that stole reflections, clocks that trapped time, paintings that bled secrets. Could this be one of his creations, a masterpiece of magic and malice? The team descended upon the mansion's library, its shelves groaning under the weight of centuries-old tomes and forgotten manuscripts. They worked tirelessly, fueled by adrenaline and the thrill of the chase, poring over dusty pages, deciphering faded script, searching for any mention of Faust and his creations. Days turned into nights, the only sounds the rustle of parchment, the soft murmur of voices, and the occasional triumphant exclamation as they unearthed a new clue. Slowly, painstakingly, they pieced together the mirror's history, each fragment a brushstroke on a canvas of shadows and secrets. The mirror was indeed a Faust creation, crafted during the alchemist's descent into forbidden knowledge. Legend spoke of a ritual, a dark pact made under a blood moon, a curse woven into the mirror's very essence. It was said that anyone who gazed into the mirror during a specific lunar alignment would have their shadow stolen, trapped within the mirror's depths, their very essence diminished. The curse, it seemed, was not a single event, but a creeping, insidious thing, passed down through generations, its influence growing stronger with each stolen reflection. Section 3. Legacy of Shadows. The weight of their discovery hung heavy in the air. The missing shadow was not a singular event. It was a symptom of a deeper affliction, a generational curse that had plagued the Montague family for centuries. Lady Elizabeth, her composure finally cracking, listened intently, her face pale. Dr. Reed, his voice grave, revealed the chilling truth. The Montague lineage, it seemed, was intertwined with the mirror's dark legacy. Records hinted at family members throughout history who had experienced strange occurrences, unsettling dreams, bouts of melancholia, and yes, even vanishing shadows. Each generation bore the curse's mark, the connection to the mirror growing stronger with each passing year. Lady Elizabeth, the last of her line, was now at the epicenter, the curse manifesting with terrifying potency. The revelation cast a pall over Thornfield Hall, the weight of generations past pressing down on them. The mansion, once a symbol of family pride, now felt like a gilded cage, its walls echoing with the whispers of the cursed. Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged. The curse, however ancient and powerful, had a weakness. It could be broken. Section 1. The Ancient Texts. The library, once a sanctuary of knowledge, now felt like a battleground. Hope warred with despair. The curse was a formidable enemy, but Dr. Reed was not a man to be easily defeated. He knew that somewhere within the vast collection of Thornfield Hall lay the answer to breaking Faust's magic. Days bled into nights as Dr. Reed and his team became prisoners of the library's dimly lit corners. They pored over ancient grimoires, their pages filled with cryptic symbols and incantations in languages lost to time. Each scroll, each leather-bound volume, held the potential for salvation or further descent into the labyrinth of the curse. The air grew thick with the musty scent of aging paper and the weight of centuries of knowledge. Frustration mounted with each dead end, each tantalizing clue that dissolved into a maze of arcane riddles. Yet Dr. Reed remained steadfast, his resolve fueled by Lady Elizabeth's dwindling hope and the chilling knowledge of the curse's power. He knew that Faust, in his arrogance, would have left a way to undo his work, a hidden key within the intricate clockwork of his magic. The answer, he was sure, lay hidden within the very texts that detailed the curse's creation. Section 2. The Alchemist's Riddle. A breakthrough came in the dead of night. Dr. Reed, his eyes bloodshot from exhaustion, was examining a particularly worn-out grimoire. As he delicately turned a page, a small folded parchment slipped out, its edges brittle with age. Unfolding it carefully, he felt a jolt of excitement. The parchment contained a diagram, its lines faded but still discernible. It depicted celestial bodies, their positions meticulously charted, alongside cryptic symbols and a series of incantations written in Faust's spidery handwriting. This was no ordinary diagram, it was a map, a guide to undoing the curse. Dr. Reed's heart pounded in his chest as he deciphered the alchemist's riddle. The diagram, he realized, was not merely a map of the stars, but a representation of a specific celestial alignment, a rare conjunction of planets that occurred only once every few decades. The incantations, he surmised, were the key to harnessing the energy of this alignment, a way to tap into the celestial tapestry and unravel the threads of Faust's magic. The curse, it seemed, could be undone, but only during this specific celestial event, a fleeting window of opportunity dictated by the whims of the cosmos. Section 3. Preparations for Liberation. The discovery of the ritual sent a wave of anxious energy through Thornfield Hall. The mansion, shrouded in the oppressive silence of anticipation, became a hive of activity. Dr. Reed, his voice charged with a mix of trepidation and determination, laid out the intricate steps of the ritual. The team worked feverishly, their movements precise, their faces etched with a combination of fear and exhilaration. The grand ballroom, normally a place of celebration, was transformed into a ritual chamber, its polished floor covered in protective sigils drawn in chalk and salt. Candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls adorned with protective symbols. The air grew heavy with the scent of incense and the palpable tension of the impending ritual. Every member of the team understood the gravity of the situation. They were not just scientists. They were now players in a life-or-death struggle against an ancient, malevolent force. Lady Elizabeth, her face pale but resolute, moved with a newfound purpose. She had spent her life governed by logic and reason, but now she embraced the unknown, her spirit strengthened by a flicker of hope that had been absent for far too long. The stage was set, the players in position. The battle against the shadow had begun. The night of the ritual arrived, cloaked in a stillness that amplified the tension within Thornfield Hall. A blanket of stars draped the sky, their light filtering through the ballroom's tall windows. The celestial bodies aligned, a silent symphony orchestrated by forces beyond human comprehension. Inside the mansion, the air crackled with energy. The scent of myrrh and frankincense mingled with the metallic tang of anticipation. Dr. Reed, his face illuminated by flickering candlelight, checked the placement of each ritual object, his movements precise, measured. Lady Elizabeth stood in the center of the circle, a solitary figure clad in flowing white robes. Her face, usually composed, was now a canvas of conflicting emotions, fear, determination, and a flicker of desperate hope. She was the linchpin, the conduit through which the curse would be confronted. The team, their faces grim but resolute, took their positions around the circle. Each held a lit candle, their flames casting dancing shadows that mimicked the nervous energy in the room. Sarah, her eyes fixed on Lady Elizabeth, offered a reassuring nod. The time for preparation was over. The ritual was about to begin. Dr. Reed began the incantation, his voice a low, resonant hum that reverberated through the room. The ancient words, heavy with power, seemed to warp the air, creating a palpable shift in the atmosphere. Lady Elizabeth, following his instructions, began to move in a slow, deliberate circle, her voice joining his, their voices intertwining in an ancient, rhythmic chant. The shadows in the room deepened, swirling with a life of their own. The candles flickered violently, their flames turning a sickly green. The mirror, a silent observer until now, began to vibrate, its tarnished surface rippling like disturbed water. A low groan emanated from the mirror, a sound laden with centuries of stolen life force and trapped shadows. The temperature in the room plummeted, a bone-chilling cold that seemed to claw at their lungs. The air grew thick, heavy with the weight of unseen presences. From the depths of the mirror, ghostly shapes began to emerge, their forms indistinct, their movements jerky and erratic. They were the shadows of Lady Elizabeth's ancestors, their faces etched with a mixture of anger and despair, drawn back to the source of their torment. The chanting reached a fever pitch, the air vibrating with raw power. Lady Elizabeth, her body trembling with exertion, stretched out her hand towards the mirror, her fingers almost touching the cold glass. Her shadow, a faint, flickering outline beneath her, pulsed with a life of its own. The ghostly figures in the mirror surged forward, their forms becoming more distinct, their eyes burning with a cold, hungry light. They reached out with spectral hands, their touch sending icy tendrils across the room. The battle had begun. "Now!" Dr. Reed roared, his voice barely audible above the cacophony of spectral wails and the pounding of his own heart. With a final desperate cry, Lady Elizabeth slammed her hand against the surface of the mirror. The room erupted in a blinding flash of white light. The sound was deafening, a thunderclap that seemed to split the very foundation of Thornfield Hall. Then silence. The candles sputtered and died, plunging the room into darkness. The air, thick with ozone and the lingering scent of magic, crackled with residual energy. As the team blinked away the after images, they found themselves staring at the space where the mirror had once hung. It was gone, and so was Lady Elizabeth. The silence in the grand ballroom was deafening. The air, still crackling with residual energy, hung heavy with the scent of ozone and burnt herbs. The team, their faces pale in the flickering light of a single remaining candle, stared at the empty space where the mirror had once hung. Lady Elizabeth was gone. Panic threatened to consume them. Had the ritual succeeded? Had the curse been broken? Or had it claimed Lady Elizabeth as its final victim, dragging her into the spectral abyss from which the other shadows had emerged? Dr. Reed, his face etched with worry, fought to maintain his composure. He moved quickly, his fingers probing Lady Elizabeth's last position, searching for any trace, any sign. The air hung heavy with uncertainty, each tick of his pocket watch a hammer blow against the silence. Then, a soft sigh, barely audible amidst the echoes of the ritual, reached their ears. They spun around, their hearts pounding, their gazes scanning the darkened room. And there, bathed in the soft moonlight filtering through a shattered window, stood Lady Elizabeth. Her eyes, wide with wonder, shone with a light they had not seen before, and beside her, solid and unwavering, lay her shadow.